Hi, everybody. Holly Tack here with another interview as part of the Get Clients Now Summit. And today I'm with Amanda Davies across the pond over outside of London, right?
That's right. Yeah. I'm in West London. West London.
Cool.
hmm
Awesome. Great to have you here.
Thank
And
you.
I invited Amanda on because I know her personally. She's another one I know personally. So that's cool.
Mm.
I've met her in person, but lately she's just been growing her business so much. She got nominated as what was it? The National Business Awards in UK, and it was
Yeah.
1,500 people nominated, and she was one of the final eight. So
Yeah.
she is making waves in
Making
her,
waves.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I love it, and I also relate to her a lot because of her past corporate experience. Just
Mm.
she's one of those gals too. So
Sure
I'm
am.
I'll let you take it away. Just tell us a little bit about how you got to this point of having this
Yeah.
coaching business now.
Yeah, sure. So thanks, first of all, for inviting me to the summit. I'm super excited to be here. And like you said, I'm from London, but I'm from Sydney, Australia originally. So I've been in London for about 10 years now. And as you pointed out, I was always that corporate good girl that kind of 2 years ago went rogue and started her own coaching business. And it's really just been an incredible, incredible journey. And my company is called Light Purpose Living. And yeah, it's been an incredible journey. I specifically work with women who want to do incredible things in the world, who are heart led, who are purpose driven, but also hugely ambitious and are here to make waves. So that's who I work with. I support female entrepreneurs, but also budding entrepreneurs as well. So people who are still in that corporate space and looking to maybe craft their escape plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and one of the things I love is that, I mean, maybe I wasn't aware of it in the beginning when I first knew you, but I think the way you've incorporated like spirituality aspects to things
Yes.
is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did that like come about? Was that something you always felt comfortable with, or did it take time?
Not at all. Yeah, not at all. It was a really strange kind of personal journey, I guess, that I went on around my own spiritual development. And it all tied in actually with the start of my business. And I knew that I was passionate about business. I'd worked in corporate training and development, leadership development previously, but I was going on this huge transformation spiritually as well. And I was just wondering, how can I start to bring the two together? But also, I'm a registered psychologist as well. So, how can I start to bring together business strategy, spirituality, psychology, and mindset as well?
Mm.
And it was something I really had to think about around how do these things come together. And it was a huge step for me just to almost step out of the spiritual closet as well and just say, yeah, I'm a business coach, badass business coach, but I've also, kind of got this spirituality and confidence and mindset stuff that I'm interested in and bring to my business as well. So it's all about that. It's so important to shift the energy, confidence, all of that, to be successful.
I love how it evolved, and you weren't sitting in an action, at least from what
Yeah.
I could see, and I'm sure there was even more that I couldn't see that you were doing. So like
Yeah.
I think that's one of the mistakes people make, is that they will sit in action because they don't know how
Totally.
to incorporate the two, and I felt like you just went
Totally.
out there.
Yeah, thank you. No, and it really was a lot of soul searching for me just to say, my ideal client is that purpose driven, heart led woman with spiritual roots who wants to do great things in the world and share her gifts, but maybe just doesn't quite know how, is maybe lacking the confidence or feels weird about making sales in her business, because that's a real blocker for a lot of people who are heart driven. In particular, you want to give all the time, but it's like, how do you actually make money from your passions and from
Hmm.
what you do really well?
I mean, I think that's a good point. And I don't
Yeah,
even have a spiritual bend to my business. I have my own stuff, but I don't really bring that out as much. And I still
yeah.
feel the sales weirdness.
hmm
And I think
hmm
it's like there's actually something magical or good about the financial exchange that calls the
Totally.
person up to. That's one of the most helpful reframes for me on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I don't know if you're familiar with Rebecca Campbell. She's the author of Light is the New Black.
I've heard of her.
She's amazing. And one of the quotes that she had in her book is that the days of the starving artist and wounded healer are over. And I just thought that was really powerful, because so many spiritual women, healers, coaches as well, feel odd, like you say, Holly, about asking for that exchange of energy around their gifts and talents. So it's time to get over that. It's time to make an impact. Because you need money to make an impact as well, right? So
yeah, so much opens up with the financial aspect when that's in place.
Yeah.
So even though you have the spiritual side and everything, you do have your corporate background too. And so I know you have just some of the same business structures like email marketing that, anyone else might have in the business world. So what has email marketing done for your business?
Email marketing, I mean, it's really been the backbone of my business, if I'm really honest. It's been incredible. And, I've managed to grow my list very quickly, I feel, over sort of the last 18 months, 2 years. And I feel like I have a particularly engaged list, which when there's lots of kind of people out there saying, oh, is email marketing dead and all this kind of stuff, it so isn't, but it's about how you engage with your list. And a bigger list isn't necessarily a better list either. It's about making the most of what you've got, obviously growing your list consistently, but it's about making the most of who you've got, because it's not just 1,000 people or 500 people. They're 500 souls and, human beings that want to hear what you have to say. So it's about treating them that way and engaging with them and giving them loads of content. So, it's really important.
What signs are you having that they're very engaged?
Yeah. So, and this is a piece of advice actually I'd give to anyone watching this, is know your numbers. So I guess probably the signs that I'm seeing that my list is super engaged is that my open rates average at around about 18 to 20% still, which industry standard, that's incredible. I believe the average is about 10%, and that could even be falling a little bit these days. So consistently I have about 18 to 20% open rates with my email list. But I mean, obviously that's just one part of the puzzle. It's great that people are opening and engaging, but it's, are they converting into clients? And about 4% of my list have gone on to become paying clients, which again is huge. So it's, I think the average is 1% of your list will buy from you. Mine's sitting at about 3.5-4% at the moment. So know your numbers, because it's definitely giving clues about what's working.
Yeah, that's great that and people can have an issue with the open rates lowering as the list grows. So it's good that you've kept it pretty consistent. So we were talking a little bit about this before we started. What do you do to make it make somebody feel like a part of your community right off the bat?
Yeah. And so I guess this ties back into the engagement thing. I think one of the reasons why my list has stayed so engaged despite growing so quickly is that I do a lot of work around obviously setting up a fantastic funnel, but also around email marketing as well. And I'll explain a little bit about what I mean by that. But number one is I've found that it's really important to get people into a really engaging email sequence straight off the bat. Everyone's heard of sales funnels, right? Everyone knows what they are. And they don't need to be complicated is probably the thing that I'd say. For me, what I've found really works is a simple, elegant funnel that has loads and loads of value. So although people might opt in to your Facebook freebie, maybe you advertise a PDF lead magnet or a training or something, it's about delivering on that, but then also stacking your funnel with extra value that relates to that particular offer they opted in for. And I just think that really making that first impression around delivering what you say you're going to deliver, but also then giving some surprises and some extras. People love surprises, and people love to feel like you're kind of giving value to them and honor them. So I think it's important to really stack your funnel with great value, but also invite them into your wider community as well. And I really think this is why my list has been super engaged, because so many people are in my Facebook groups and communities and Instagram and all of that. So they're seeing me a lot. So naturally just want to kind of open my emails. I believe that's a big part of it.
Yeah. So they're seeing you in a lot of platforms if they follow all your recommendations in your sequence to follow you.
They want to know more. Exactly. They want to know more. And it's like that mystery and that intrigue and the surprise and all of that. And I heard somewhere, and it was a really great quote, that it's almost like onboarding a new lead into your community and your business is almost like dating. And kind of like, people want to be surprised and they want to feel special, and they're going to remember that emotion and that connection as well. So they're going to be excited to see what's coming.
Yeah. So like technically, how many emails do you have? Just like a certain recommendation for how many welcome emails we should do?
Yeah. So my sort of introductory funnels, I guess. So for someone signing up to my opt-in and then getting onto my list that way, I usually have about 4 or 5 emails in my funnel. So I've seen funnels that are much, much longer. I've seen no funnel at all, but I tend to find that 4 or 5 really value-packed emails has been great. And then obviously they go onto my main newsletter list after that.
Yeah, and during the welcome 5, do you invite them to talk to you, or do you kind of hold off on that?
Yeah, I invite people to talk to me. Okay. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I love getting people on the phone with me. Really love it, because it tells me so much as well about what people need and what they are after in the community. So I never hold back on offering clarity calls or discovery calls or whatever you call them. I love inviting people on the phone, and I find that when people get onto your list, that's when they're kind of the warmest as well. So they're more likely to set up a call with you or schedule a call straight off the bat. So definitely take advantage of that. And I also put that on my thank you page as well. So when people opt in, the thank you page has an option for people to book a breakthrough session with me. And I get a lot of calls that way.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, and do you like pitch something on those calls? Just curious.
Yeah, it depends what I've got going on. Yeah. And so I like to obviously pre-screen people as well before the calls, just to make sure we're a good fit before we get onto the call. But
that's good.
Usually it depends what's on offer. So if I have a group program that's launching or space in my one-to-one program, then I will pitch on the call, but it's got to feel right energetically as well.
Yes. Yeah. You can tell. If you can't tell yet and you're watching this and you're doing those calls, you'll get there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when it comes to the actual, so somebody went through the welcome sequence, they feel like part of the community, great.
Yeah.
So now like they're kind of in the ins and outs of your day-to-day email list activity. What kind of things do you share? How do you keep that going and keep people engaged afterwards?
Yeah. I think when I was first starting my business, it was very tempting because I was going through so much as well. I was growing and developing, and I still am, but just really in those beginning stages. I think it's really easy to talk about yourself a lot, kind of in emails. And that's okay. I think that's okay, but it's almost like telling stories that are relevant to your ideal clients and that people are going to be able to relate to. So every time I write a newsletter or a sales email, before I push send, I just reread it. I step away and reread it to make sure that it's actually serving people and that it's not just me, it's not just coming from ego. It's kind of like, actually, there's value, again, like value in here. And there's some stuff that you can actually take away and implement straight away. So I'd say my biggest tip about, just regular kind of emails and newsletters and stuff is really add value. Always put yourself in the client's shoes. What is it they're struggling with at the moment? What is that solution they're after? And how can you just add as much value as you possibly can in that moment, in that email?
Yeah, 2 tricks based on what you said that I use from copy side is if I said I or me, I just look at, is that necessary? Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not, and you can actually rephrase it to be more about the reader.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
would be one trick. And
It's a
then the
great
second would
trick.
be to just say, like, the reason I'm sharing this with you is, or something along
Yes.
that line, to just bring the value home if it feels unclear on that review part.
That's so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
I actually put in my emails sometimes, why should you care? So if I've told a little bit of a story up front about something that's happened to me in my world, it's like, well, what's the so
Yeah.
what factor? Like, why should people care? As much as we'd love to think that people are interested in the ins and outs of our businesses and our lives, they are to a degree, but it's people want to know what the relevance is to them personally.
Exactly. Those are
Yeah.
good tips. Anything else you want to share when it comes to email marketing?
Yeah, I think probably the other thing I would say is just really good housekeeping with your
Mhm.
list. Doesn't matter how big it is, how small it is, really making sure you're putting aside time. I put aside time once a month at the start of every month to see who's engaging and who isn't with my
Mhm.
list. And regardless of what CRM provider you use, there's a way to sort of look at who hasn't opened an
Mhm.
email in like 90 days or whatever. And so
Mhm.
what I try and do is, well, what I do is put those people into a re-engagement sequence as well.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, and
Cool.
just so it's like they've either got the option to unsubscribe or get back in the game kind of
Yeah.
thing. So just really good housekeeping from that perspective, but also making it super easy for people to unsubscribe. I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, especially when you've paid probably for
Yeah.
people to be on your list. But what you don't want is for people to hit that spam button because it's really going to hurt your deliverability.
Mhm.
So just make it as easy as possible for people to unsubscribe. I know most email templates have that little tiny unsubscribe button down the bottom. I actually have like a message above that that's quite bold that says,
Mhm.
I love having you as part of my community. You're receiving these emails because if you no longer want to receive them, you're welcome to unsubscribe by hitting the button below, sending you on your way with love kind of thing. But
Mhm.
it's much better for people to unsubscribe than hit that spam button because it's
Mhm.
going to drastically reduce your deliverability otherwise.
I think that's a great tip because we actually haven't talked about that in any interview yet. And I can say that
Okay.
for a fact, with the idea
Yeah.
of like of the
Yeah.
impact that being reported as spam can have.
Yeah, it's
So,
huge. And I read somewhere that even one spam report in 10,000 sort of people on your list kind of thing can really hurt you. So I guess a lot of people listening to this summit have a list much smaller than 10,000. So just think
yeah.
of what that one button hit is going to do. And I guess this is just a piece of advice for everyone listening as well. Never hit the spam button because it can really hurt people's businesses. So just make it easy for people to unsubscribe. And if you put that little message down the bottom, or I've even seen, you could put it up the top even as well. You
Yeah.
might see a spike in unsubscribes, but they were never going to buy from you anyway, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And I like the re-engagement sequence idea
yeah,
because I've seen other people. I think I saw Marie Forleo do it once. I had it.
yeah,
I got
yeah.
it. So I think I got it. So oops, I wasn't opening, I guess. But it was basically like, you haven't opened, like, it was a cool subject line, like, oh my God, like,
Yeah. Are
really.
we still friends? Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. And then it
Yeah,
was like, if you still want to get these emails, just click a link, because if they just click
yeah,
the link, they will get back on the re-engaged part of
yeah,
your system.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a great tip. And do you actually delete people after that sequence has run?
I keep them on a separate list. I don't physically delete them, but I keep them on a separate part in my CRM, but I leave them out of future mailings. So I'm still deciding what to do, actually. I've heard that some people kind of keep them there and maybe try another re-engagement sequence, but then I've heard others who just delete them as well. So I don't know. I'm kind of still undecided about that. So for the moment, I just keep them in a separate
Yeah.
locked container in my list.
What CRM do you use?
I use Get Response. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's really
Good to know
cool.
what's
They've
working.
definitely improved. Yeah, they've definitely improved over the last year or so. So they're awesome.
That's one thing I've heard. If you're having low deliverability, you can switch around
Yeah,
systems and see if
yeah,
that helps too.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
So what is something that you want to share with the audience based on your own expertise that you just see has, after working with people for 2 years now,
Yeah.
that you've seen as like a real gap that a lot of people have that you could help with?
Yeah. I think
Mhm.
I think business strategy and all the stuff that we're talking about is like key on like honestly. But
Mhm.
the real gap that I've seen around the people who might be almost ticking all the boxes, you know, they're building their, they've got a great
Yeah.
strategy, and they've even made some, you know, sales, and they've got some clients. One of the things that I've really seen prevent people going to that next level in their business is confidence, mindset, self-belief.
Mhm.
Honestly, I've just worked with some incredible women, honestly, and
Mhm.
it's this self-belief thing that always gets them. So that's where I'm starting to focus a lot of my work now going forward around empowerment, confidence, how you can really show up authentically as you,
Mhm.
and speak your truth, really, because that's what people want. People want rawness, and they want unfiltered these days.
Yeah.
And you know, I know we talk about the know, like, and trust factor as well, and I think that's really important as long as you're doing that authentically.
Mhm.
Because sometimes, you know, getting people to know you, like you, and trust you that's great, but as long as it's not coming from a people pleasing
Mhm.
perspective either, and you're
Right.
not afraid to actually really talk about the real issues and what you're all about and what you can help people with, and stand in your power around what you charge as well, and your rates, especially around pricing, all this stuff. It's huge.
Yeah, yeah, and you've been working with some more spiritual people, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, I have this. I don't think I have overly spiritual bend in my business, and I still have had this
Mm-hmm.
issue. But I know
Yeah.
that even in that community, like it's an issue
Yeah.
with like even asking for money, like, and
Totally.
even like in other parts of society, like there's just this perception that if you're spiritual, you shouldn't get paid or something. I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And there's,
So,
but even within the community as
yeah.
well, and, you know, I'm going to call it out. It's like there's spiritual price shaming that goes on as well within the community, where other people are saying you shouldn't charge for that. You know, it's your God given gifts, or whatever. But it's just, yeah, I'm on a real mission to change that,
Yeah.
because it's like this is the best kind of work we can be doing in the world, right? So we deserve to be paid for it.
I know. And it's like, I mean, there's real value to bringing somebody some kind of energetic healing or inner peace. Like that's
Yeah.
valuable.
Yeah,
It's like a
totally.
real shift. So
Yep.
I'm glad you're
Yep.
on that mission.
And
That's,
incorporating it into your business as well. So even if you're a coach or some other service provider, how can you start to bring your spirituality into that? Similar to, I suppose, what I've done as
mm-hmm.
well, and not being afraid of that, knowing that that's actually part of who you are and what makes you unique in the marketplace
Yeah,
as
it'd
well.
probably be more detrimental if that is a part of you to completely not have it in,
I totally agree.
because it
Yeah.
wouldn't be in alignment.
Exactly. I'm all about the alignment.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just even going back to the email marketing, it's like make sure all of your messages are aligned energetically as well about who you are, what your message is, who you want to speak to. Just
Mm-hmm.
doing that double check to make sure there's no other words in there from maybe other people that maybe you've kind of propagated or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
always using your voice and what's true to
Mm-hmm.
you.
That's an important check, especially because I do, I recommend and I do have like emails I save from other people for
Yeah.
inspiration.
Yeah.
But that is a risk where I'm like maybe a
That's
little too
it.
influenced even without trying, just because I just happened to read it before I wrote or something. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing to
I've definitely been there as well, especially when you're just starting out and you're trying to find your voice as well, and what you stand for and who you're working for, who you want to serve as well. And
yeah.
it's easy because you admire people as well, and you're like, oh, you know, Marie Folio, you're amazing, kind of thing. And but it's just you're just as amazing. So it's about
Yeah.
really bringing that out. Yeah, and that's what I really help my clients with as well.
Good.
And it's when you make that shift, that's when the big money months come as well. It's so true.
Mm.
It's yeah, because it's your energy shifts and you're more confident.
Yeah.
People want that. People
Yeah.
want to buy confident.
I love that. So true.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your free gift, which is a recording, I believe,
Yeah.
but I'll let you tell us a little bit more because I think it
It
actually ties to what
is.
we've been talking to.
Yeah, it is. So it's a brand new 45-minute masterclass that I've just recorded this week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome. So even if I do say so myself.
Say
But
it.
it is all about this. So it's about It's actually called How to Attract and Convert Your Dream Clients
Yeah.
Like a Pro, so you can get off the income roller coaster. And what it's all about is obviously consistent cash flow and how to make those big money months in your business consistently. And the ways to do that are kind of not overly complicated either. So, we talk about email marketing, and I know a lot of people overcomplicate it. I'm a huge fan of keeping things simple. So we talk a lot about how to keep things really simple in your business, but the bulk of the masterclass is around confidence and mindset and alignment, and how you can start to make some of those shifts today to start really, owning your worth and starting to create that consistency in your business in terms of income. Because I've found that when people move between feast or famine kind of in their business, they have a money month, 1 month, and then it's like silence for the next few months. It's usually got to do with the fact that we're kind of like moving between our higher consciousness and our lower consciousness. So there's there's a bit of a spiritual woo element to it as well, but I really like to ground all that stuff in practical tips and things that you can do to start shifting. So I'm happy to share that with people who would like it. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. I've been there, so I totally agree. Like there's that in and out mind, and it is mindset for sure. And it does feel like that, and it's and then there's stress because it's like you're relying on your job to pay for everything, or the business to pay for everything, and then it's not no money coming in.
It's for people who are just like who are making money in their business, but they're just making just enough to cover their expenses basically every month. And it's like, you're capable of so much more. So I share lots and lots and lots of tips around that. There's no pitch, there's nothing like that at the end. It's just pure content.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. So that is going to be located below the video with a button. You can get that, or in the email where you got this interview, there's going to be a link to it as well. Cool. So thank you so much, Amanda, for all of your wisdom and insight. And, we're at our time, but I really appreciate all that you shared today. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Seriously. All right. Bye.
Bye.